everybody, this is Abby from Realistic Kitchen and Gardens, and I wanted to show you what 200 pounds of pork looks like. I just got back from picking up this whole hog from the butcher. The hanging weight was 200 pounds and I have 7 boxes of meat. And I asked for basically everything I could. The only thing I didn't get back, and I'm kind of mad about it, leaf lard fat, which comes from the back of the kidneys where the tenderloins are, the 2 tenderloins right along the inside of the back of the spine. So let me first show you the cutting instructions. Okay, here is the cutting instructions. So the total weight of the hog after it was butchered and cut just to actual meat was 204 pounds. That's bones and all the trimmings and all that. So here's what you can expect from the way meat is cut. And again, this is a whole hog. You can also purchase a half hog. A lot of butchers also offer bundles for X number of dollars, but it really depends on each and every butcher. So pork chops, you can get either bone-in pork chops, which then you can't have the tenderloins, or you get boneless pork chops, which are smaller, but you can have the tenderloins here, right here. So there's maximum 2 tenderloins on a whole animal. If you only get a half animal, there's only 1 tenderloin. And even then, depending on the size of the hog, the tenderloin is only about 3/4 to 1.5 pounds max each. So boneless pork chops and 1-inch cut. You can get them thinner or thicker. Pork ribs, depending on what cuts you're getting from the rest of the hog. And then country ribs are a different cut of ribs. I believe country ribs are the lower half. Pork roasts, both boneless and bone-in. I requested about 2 pounds, and he said there'd be about 8 of them. I believe these are bone-in because if you get boneless chops, they come from the loin, which is from the back of the animal, and those are where you get your boneless roasts. Pork steak is commonly cut from, I've seen them from the shoulder, but to me, it's usually a slice out of a roast. So it really doesn't behave like a steak. Smoked pork chops is just further processing on the pork chops, and to me, it ends up kind of like ham, which is nice, but you know. Smoked sausage, same thing like the chops. It depends on the flavor of pork chops you get. Smoked hocks. Hocks are the joints down by the foot. It's the equivalent of our wrist on 4-legged animals, basically. And it's basically the joint has a little bit of meat, but it's a lot of bone and sinew, so they smoke it so it's more flavorful and very commonly used for flavor in soups, sorry. Ham and ham steak, I declined because a ham is the entire hind leg. Sometimes they'll cut it in half or they'll cut it into steaks, but the ham steak is still at least 2 pounds and they're gigantic. It's a ton of ham. If you have a big family, if you use a lot of ham, fine, but it's the whole ham. It's not a little bit of ham. And I even asked if they would be willing to process little boneless hams, you know, the little round ones you can get from the deli, and they said no, they wouldn't do it, which may be the specific butcher itself, or it may not be. Bacon is a yes or no, usually. The bacon comes from the fat along the belly, so obviously yes. I had originally requested half-pound packages. It's just my husband and I, so a half-pound package of bacon works. Canadian bacon is processed from the loin also, that long boneless cut that you get roasts from and stuff. So you either get boneless chops, Canadian bacon, or boneless roasts. You could probably get some of each, but it would cut down the volume of each, and unless you really want a big variety, that's fine, but I declined Canadian bacon. Italian sausage, hot Italian sausage, bratwurst, green onion brat, country sausage, Southern belle sausage, and ground pork are basically all the different flavors of sausage they offer. and this butcher allowed me to do 3 sausages out of the whole animal. And it's gonna look like I have an absolute metric ton of sausage. It's because I didn't do the ham. So there's 2 giant hams that got turned into sausage. Or you could do plain ground pork, which kind of creates an open palate, because if you didn't know what flavor sausage you want, then you could get the plain pork, ground pork, and turn it into any number of things and have the ability to it. I ended up getting country sausage, which is basically just salt and pepper. I also got pork, maple, sausage, little links, which happen to be what this is sitting on. These are basically the little breakfast links. They're little, they're just a flat thing of 8 links, or you could ask by the pound. I really like this butcher because they do the cut and the weight. Not all butchers do that, and do your homework on that. Anyway, so what did it cost to get 200 pounds of meat? So you see this value, which is $292.40. That is just the processing fee. I also paid $1.99 per pound on this hog, and it depends on how the butcher or the farm does it. I bought this from a farmer who does hogs, and I paid them directly the cost of the meat at $1.99 a pound. And on top of that, I had to pay this butcher cost. So this was $730 some for basically 200 pounds. I got the fat, which I'll show you in the next one, and I got the bones, not all of them, but soup bones is what they called them. I got the hocks. I mean, you pay for the animal by the pound, so the more you take back from when you get the animal done is the more worthwhile for you. So this animal actually broke down to $3.64 per pound, which I think is kind of expensive. I've gotten cheaper ones before, but anyway. All right, we're gonna move on to the tour of the actual meat, and I'm gonna put a glove on because it's cold out here. Okay, let's dive into this. This is gonna be a little bit more detailed, but this is the entire hog, 200 pounds. So there's 3 boxes of sausage. So 1, which has the pork, maple, sausage, little links, breakfast sausage. There's also this garlic sausage, which I don't actually know if it's spicy or not. It almost looks like chorizo. There's that box of the same stuff. And then there's also this, which is bulk, just salt and pepper. So I got loose because then I can turn that into my own breakfast sausage patties. And so I haven't counted how much there is, but again, it has the weight on it. It tells me what it is. It's inspected by a specific, USDA inspected. We have to have that in Ohio. I got fat. So this is not all the fat that came from the hog. Again, there's the leaf lard, but a lot of places, depending on the butcher, some places, you're going to be mad about this, some places don't kill the animal on site. They will bring the animal to the floor, and then from the floor takes the leaf fat out. So if you want it, you got to ask for it before the hog even goes there. And then the hog is brought to the butcher they're booked at. So that fat is what's left from the animal, again, not including the leaf lard, after making all this sausage, because sausage is not just meat. Sausage is meat and fat for palatability and for consistency. This box is a little bit of a mishmash. There's, what is that? Shoulder blade roast. This is one of the tenderloins. It's curled up in a U shape. So it's one little skinny thing. It has a little bit of silver skin that you see on this left side over silver skin, which will need to be trimmed off. I did see the second one in here, so that's great. But these are all roasts. So these are the roasts from a hog. There's a good number of them. Again, there's the second one too, but these are low and slow things. This is the 4 hocks. 1, 2, 3, 4 hocks, and they're smoked. And impressively have the skin on. So you could arguably treat this like a small bone-in ham. is basically what it tastes like, but usually it's so difficult to get the meat. If you've ever cooked a joint of meat, it's really difficult to get all the meat off it and not get sinewy and stuff. So this is nice smoky, hammy, rich flavor for usually ham and pea soup. And then these are the probably femurs and humerus, they call them neck bones, shoulder neck bones. But that's probably either the femurs or the humerus, one or the other of the long bones. Those are actual neck bones. The package split. By the way, if you ever get vacuum sealed meat and the package is not airtight, this will freezer burn, so you need to use this sooner. This is just going to be for me to roast and turn into stock, so that isn't a big deal to me. And then these are also neck bones, a little bit of vertebra. This is what it's supposed to look like, but with things that have such sharp edges like this piece of bone, this package will rip. And I hate when my husband throws meat around in the freezer because it can break the vacuum seal. So just be aware. This, I expect, is an entire box of bacon. So you see these little chunks? These are just the offcuts, and I'm really glad to see them. Some butchers just throw them out. This is actual bacon, big pieces. So some butchers are really neat with them. This is probably either the very beginning or very end. Some of it's nice and neat, like this. And sometimes it can just get a little messy depending on who's cutting it and all that. So this is an entire box of bacon. Once upon a time, I knew how much bacon came from a hog, but this butcher didn't do weights for me. I'm not going to dig through this because it's really cold, and even with the gloves, my hands are really cold, but I'm assuming all the boxes of sausage are actually full boxes of sausage. And then these are the boneless chops that come from the loin. I requested for roughly a pound, and I'm okay with the variation. It's really not a big deal. But these are boneless with the nice fat cap. I don't know if these are all boneless chops. I want to actually look. I think they are. There's one of the ones that gets into the deeper bit of the chop, which to me I would rather make a roast out of. Oh, here are the ribs. I forgot about the ribs. To me, I usually do ribs in the slow cooker. It just works out better for us. So they call these loin back ribs, which is basically, from my understanding, this is the bit of ribs that are left from making boneless chops, because the tenderloin is from one side and then the loin is from the other. And I think that's it. I showed you the fat, I showed you the bone, but like there's so much more to an animal. Like there's the heart, there's the liver, there's the kidneys, there's the tongue, that are all edible. But we've just moved so far away from it in this society. And I admit, I can't do it. I mean, I've been raised on muscle meat. So the rest of the organs, to me, I had them keep. And you could call it dog food, fine. I would probably throw it to my chickens if I butchered this hog myself, for example. But there's a lot with a whole animal, and it's a lot to wrap your head around. And the very first time I got a whole animal, I actually only got 1/8 of a beef to make sure I could actually use it. It's a lot of money, and it's a whole different way of buying meat. And I get it, it's intimidating, but buying a half a hog would be a good way to start, or buying 1/8 beef, or shoot, even if you're used to just using boneless, skinless chicken breasts, start using whole chicken. You can do it. It's really easy. So I hope this inspires you. I hope this gives you information. So I hope this helps. I hope this makes sense. And if you have questions or suggestions, please leave a comment, and like, follow, and subscribe. And follow my Facebook page, Realistic Kitchen and Gardens. Bye.